my tripod's up here. I swear it's like Murphy's Law of motherhood. I I was about to go live at 9 and I'm looking at the monitor and then I hear the click of the door. And I'm like, she just woke up. And then I look at the monitor, bed's empty. Yep. And she had to go potty, and she never has to go potty. So it was just funny because I'm like, seriously, literally right when I was about to go live, it's like, that's, it's like Murphy's Law of motherhood. So, guys, tonight I'm going to share with you about my story. And my story is an interesting story because it's one that I don't really share openly on social media, because I have to be careful. There's just like a little bit of red tape, I guess you could say, because of being a single mom and being I was in a custody, doing a custody and a child support thing, but I'll get into that in a second with my story. So my story is unique, and so I'm going to start telling you it, and I'm going to tie in some things that I hope will give you some takeaways and some things that will give you hope in coaching. So, with that said, when I was in college, I graduated with a Bachelor's of Science in Nursing from Duquesne University. I moved to Tampa, Florida, because I wanted to get away from the Pittsburgh weather. And I worked at the VA hospital. I worked night shift in the medical ICU, and I loved it. I loved nursing. I do love nursing, but I wasn't thrilled about going to a brick building, being just another nurse, and having not a name, no recognition. Working night shift has completely scarred my life. It's so funny. My team will be like, "You're up at like 3 a.m." I'm like, I work night shift. It like permanently scars you. It was a great, fulfilling job, but it's definitely one of those things where you're like, I don't know if I want to do this job with like having a family and things like that. So initially I wanted to be a CRNA, and my cousin was in the CRNA school, and I'd go home for Christmas, and her husband at the time, night shift sister, my cousin's husband had a book, and he thought it was like so funny. My cousin was so pissed. And it was a picture of her falling asleep in her like nurse anesthetist books. And I was like, oh my gosh, is that the life that I want for 2 years? To go into debt, go to anesthesia school, sleep, no offense to any CRNAs that may be in here, but that I would just go into debt, come out, make like $120,000, probably sign your life away to some contract to get a bonus. Like, that is not what I really want, is it? So I decided to apply to nurse practitioner school, and I got accepted to a couple of them. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go, groove with my old people. That was my population. I could not work with peds. God bless the nurses that do. That's why God makes us all to work with special people. So fast forward a little bit, and I wasn't in nurse practitioner school, but I got accepted. And then I met the love of my life. Well, so I thought. And oh, good for you, Katie. And it was on my golden birthday. So it was my 28th birthday on the 28th of May. And at the time it was my boyfriend. He became a boyfriend. And he played hockey for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So he was in a contract with them. So I used to commute between Tampa, Florida, and Toronto, because obviously he couldn't commute because he was playing hockey, and so I was the one that had to commute all the time. I still worked full time, but while I was doing that, it really was fatigue for me. I mean, I was working these crazy night shifts, then hopping on a plane with my dogs and flying, and it's like the people at customs knew me. They were like, oh hey, I just would breeze right through. So it was just like really crazy with all of that going on, and of course, Jay, we'll call him, it was like, oh, just quit your job, come live with me. And I'm like, oh, no. That's like not how this works, So I did go to part-time as a nurse. Mid-season, my ex had a concussion, and he was diagnosed with post-concussion syndrome. So it was really, really crazy, because I knew like all these things with head injuries, and it's just crazy, that stuff, and what it can do to you, the personality changes and things like that. And so it was pretty like devastating to know that had happened to him, and it just happened with a hit. It wasn't even like a fight. He was a defenseman. So anyway, I was still traveling back and forth. He was off the ice, and this was the last year of his contract. Well, he ended up not, his contract ended. He didn't get picked back up, and he was really depressed. Well, I noticed as I kept commuting back and forth and he wasn't playing, that he was like really starting to abuse drugs, and he was abusing painkillers. So it was like, okay, maybe this is just related to the injury or whatever. But long story short, I still stayed in Tampa. He went to Michigan, which is where he was from. He had a place in the Keys, so we would go in there too as well. And my parents still lived in Pittsburgh, which is where I'm from. Well, he was always like, whenever I'm done playing, you can do your thing. I'm like, okay, well, I'm ready to go to nurse practitioner school. Well, that didn't happen. So anyways, I was like, all right, well, I see how this is going. And he was still abusing. But I'm a rescuer. I'm like, I know I can help him. I know I can't leave him because I need to help him. He needs me in this time. He's going through a really hard time. As many of you may know, I don't know if you ever saw the movie, I forget what it's called. It's like something with the concussions with the NFL players. I don't know. If somebody knows the name of it. Maybe they can throw it out there. But I just know, like, they don't make transition programs for athletes. And I was like, this is just so terrible for him. And I just felt so bad for him. I loved him. And I do. I love him. He's a great person. But it's just in a very bad place. So anyways, we did end up getting, yeah. Is that what it's called? Concussion, the movie? Okay. I wasn't sure. But it's just like so bad when you see people in that position. Especially, and if any of you have dealt with addiction, it's just like such an evil disease. It's hard, and it can ruin lives, and it ruins families, and it destroys things. It just totally destroys things. So, I think he kind of knew I was getting fed up with the things that were going on, and so he proposed to me. And so we were engaged, and really from the outside, everybody thought that I had like the perfect life. They're like, oh, you're gonna get married and you're a hockey player. And it was like the complete opposite, like behind closed doors. It was such a hot mess. And it was like, I was scared. I was like, what am I gonna do? This is like, am I really gonna be able to help him? So I was commuting still between Michigan and Tampa now. And then we got pregnant with what is now the biggest blessing in my life. But when I got pregnant, I was scared. I wasn't happy. This will sound bad, but I wasn't happy. I was so scared because I'm like, what am I going to do? Like I'm not making decisions for me anymore. Before it was just me. Like, I'm a big girl. I can pull on my big girl britches, and I can like deal with this guy and his addiction and his lying, and I can I'll put him in his place. Now it's not just me anymore. I'm making decisions for me and a baby. It's not about me. It's about the baby. And that's when things changed. So at 30 years old, I am pregnant, and Jay's addiction was getting worse. He was abusing. He was giving me ultimatums of if I didn't move to Michigan and have his baby, that, threats. It was becoming very abusive and unhealthy. So 30 years old, I was this independent woman with a place in Tampa, just had a job, built a life, had my best friends down there, had found my church. I had my life there. And it was at a point where I went home for my baby shower. I was 7 months pregnant, and I never went back to Tampa, never went back to Michigan or anything. I was 30 years old. I was pregnant and unemployed. I was heartbroken. I was scared, and I was questioning, was I making the right decision? Because, you're making a decision. Well, I'm leaving the baby's father, right? That's a pretty big decision. I was high risk for postpartum depression and anxiety because I have a history of depression. And it was just a really crazy whirlwind. Some of my girlfriends would still be like, I just never imagined this is where the people that were so in love, this is where this was going to end up. And I'm like, life's a crazy thing, right? So anyways, I did have a beautiful, healthy baby and baby girl, and she is just the most amazing thing. But I am a very single mom. And it's funny because I'd be like, I hear sometimes people talk about how they're like, I live like a single mom because my husband's in the military or whatever. And I'm not dissing it by any means, because I know it's very hard and difficult, but that's not living like a single mom. Being a single mom is like a whole different ball game. You're not only like by yourself, but you are like, it's the whole 9 yards, you know? And it's just, you're not just alone as a mom, but you are, you know, emotionally alone, physically alone, or not physically, but financially alone. You're the provider. You're the everything. You're the everything for this child. And, you know, and her dad wasn't around, so I had no breaks. There's no weekends with dad. People, even living with my parents, I didn't get a lot of help because my mom has chronic back issues, and she has neuropathy issues. And at the time, my dad was a full-time physician, so he was never around. So people, even though they were like, oh yeah, you get all sorts of help. No, I didn't. And I was scared. I was like, I don't even know if I can do this. Like, I kept saying to my mom, now I know why it takes 2 people to make a baby. There's clearly a reason for that. Like, God had a plan for that, and that's why, because it takes 2 people to raise a baby. But 3 months postpartum, I realized that I needed to get my shit together, because I realized that Jay wasn't around and he wasn't going to be there. So I had seen my coach, Lindsay Matway, and I was watching church online the night, but I didn't sleep at all because Daniela was up all night. It was just terrible. I was exhausted, and I was watching church online at my church in Tampa, and then I saw Lindsay's testimony, and I looked at it, and I thought, why not me? I said, why not me? If she did it, I can do this. And I'm not going to lie, I was scared. I was scared. I was fearful. I didn't contact her right away. I waited about a couple weeks. And I took a huge risk because I went all in when I started. I didn't go back to nursing ever. And I was judged for that. And I feared what people would think. A lot of people thought I was crazy. Like family members, friends, they like thought I was bananas. And I'm not, you know, and I was like, they probably think I'm like postpartum bananas, right? Because all the hormones going crazy. But it was so funny because, well, not funny, but, and even my ex was like, he was like, what the F is wrong with you? Like, are you just trying to like not get a real job so you can like get money from me? And I was like, oh, you did not just go there. Like, really? You did not just go there. I don't even say anything bad about you, because I don't, because it's the father of my child and I respect him, and he's just in a bad place in his life. But I was just like people just thought I was crazy. And I was like, you know what? If you, oh, Nicole, I love you. If you don't have you know what? If you don't have haters and people doubting you, then it's not normal. Because I'll tell you, those people are the naysayers, the people that talk you down, like Grant Cardone, he talks about this all the time. It's because they are living an average life, and they are talking themselves into thinking that what they're doing is like normal and right. It's because they're too scared to go and do what is so out of the box and so not what is so typical and what we're expected to do. Like, they just are just trying to justify the life they're living, which is not what we do. We're doing something unique. It's different. It's not by the book, right? So, and it's just so funny because you have to take that negative energy that people put on you and you have to use it as fire. Use it as fuel to another why, as to why that you're not, like, basically you can say, Darren Hardy even says it. He's like, use it as more fuel to your why, to say, hey, I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to show you that this isn't a pyramid scheme. This isn't something stupid. I was like, oh, I'm going to show my ex, like, I don't give a shit about your money, because I didn't even file for child support, so, like, bleh, you know, but, so, anyways, I got enough of that rant. anyways, in January 2014, I started actively coaching. I had gotten back in shape. I was feeling amazing. Emerald coach that month. Once I called Lindsay, I was like, I need a discount from my mom. I didn't, like, know what I was doing, but became an Emerald. May, Lindsay gave me, she approached me and a bunch of other people. She was pushing for Superstar Diamond in the 3rd Business Center. And I was just like lollygagging. I don't even know what I was doing. I was just like, I'm going to be a diamond. I kept saying it like, I'm going to be a diamond. And I had like goal dates, but I was just like, effing around. I don't know what I was doing. And Lindsay had a group of us, and she's like, okay, I want to go. Like, this is our group goal. We're going for Superstar Diamond. And I seriously, guys, I think I had 4 coaches. And we had about, like, I don't remember what it was, but maybe 10 days to get to Diamond, okay? And I promise you, this isn't just, like, a story you're going to get takeaways from this. 10, or, like, so I had, like, seriously, like, 4 coaches. I don't even think I had an emerald. I'm not sure. I maybe had a half an emerald. So anyways, we had, like, 10 days. And she's like, this is the push. And my advice to you about that is when your coach comes to you and they give you a push date, or they say, I know you can do this, do it, go for it. Because as your upline coaches, we don't want to set you up for failure. It's an order, you know, I know you can sometimes wonder, like, well, are they just trying to reach their goal? No, you know what? We care too much about you guys, our coaches, to ever set you up for failure. Because if we set you up for failure, guess what happens? You guys stop believing in yourselves. So we would never do that. And when Lindsay said to me, you can get to Diamond, and I'm like looking at my downline, I'm like, well, that is kind of far-fetched. But I was like, you know what? If Lindsay asked, like, put me in that group, she thinks I can do it. And who did it? I did it. But so then June came around, and it was time to go to Summit. I had an 11-month-old, single mother. I forgot to tell you guys, so I didn't go back to nursing. I was living off my savings my first year as a coach. So, and I wasn't getting child support. I was living off my savings. That was a huge risk, right? That was a huge risk. And I was like, okay, I have to pay for childcare. And then I'm like, am I a bad mom? Because I want to, like, you know, moms never want to leave their babies. And I'm like, all these moms are like, I would never want to leave my kid within the first, like, it's like, oh, my 3-year-old, I'm leaving him for the first time. And I'm like, oh my gosh, me as a single mom, I was like, I need to go to Summit. And my mom's like, are you sure? And I'm like, single mom, I needed a break. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait. I was like, I'm putting that bad boy on a credit card. I did. And you know what? I'll tell you, it was one of the best business decisions I ever made. That Summit set me on fire. I came back, it catapulted my business. I knew no one, and one of the, Nicole Watkins, if she's on this call, she was my friend in the computer. I had no clue who she was, and I was like, hey, let's split a room, and we got in there, and that was it. I knew no one going to Summit. That's like, people say, well, I didn't know anybody. No, just do it. And then I came back, I put myself around other women that I knew, that I met there. They're like-minded, that I knew wanted to crush in the business, and we're going to do that. Some of them are in this group as leaders, and we got number 4 in the team cup when we returned. And so I was like, goals, right? Well, then I'm like, okay, I'm going to be 2-star diamond by the end of the year because I want to go to that new leader conference. It was the first year new leader conference was coming. And if you guys saw, Brittany posted a tracker for tomorrow for you guys to check out. That tracker, we used to turn it in this big diamond group we had. And it has a lot about income and rank and things like that. And I was like, okay, you know, all these coaches that we used to turn them in together. And a lot of the leaders in this group were in that group with me. And some of them, we even started at the same time. And a lot of them in October of that year, they're like, businesses just boom, took off. And my business did not. And I'm like looking at my tracker and I'm like, what's wrong with me? Like, okay, am I doing something wrong? Like, I'm doing my good behavior, so I'm doing everything right. Why isn't my business taking off? And I didn't hit my goals. And I honestly felt like I hit rock bottom at the end of that year. Oh, and not to mention that my ex came out of nowhere and tried to file for custody, and then he questioned paternity. So that was just it was a bad end to that year, that was just silly stuff. But on that note, I hit rock bottom, and I'll tell you, I made the poverty level line is $14,000. My first year as a coach, I made less than that. So I was living on savings, made less than that. Now, that's where I'm going to tell you, you guys, you can choose your hard. I remember I talked to my success partner, Dara, and I said, Dara, you know what, maybe I should consider going back to nursing part-time, just in case. It crossed my mind, but I didn't do it. And I'll tell you, you have to choose. This is where you have to think. It's not a matter of if it's going to get hard. It's a matter of when it's going to get hard. And if you don't have a strong vision and a strong why, you guys, you will quit coaching. So if you don't have super strong why and a super strong vision, hey, Virginia, you gotta do it. You gotta figure it out. You gotta find it, okay? And I'm going to tell you, that's where you have to choose your heart. You know, it's just like with, I was like sitting there, you know, thinking, okay, Megan, I'm going into 2015, my second year of coaching, and I'm going, juggling, trying to be a first-time mom, caring for an infant, and working my business is hard. It's hard. It's not easy. But you know what? Working night shift as an RN, missing all my daughter's milestones, putting her in daycare and paying for it, not being able to put her to bed and wake up and see her first thing in the morning, that's hard. You have to choose your hard. I had to choose my hard. What did I choose? Waking up an hour early, going to bed 2 hours later after your kids, not watching TV, that's hard for some people. But being part of the 70% of Americans that hate their jobs or feel completely disengaged from their jobs, that's hard. So you have to choose your hard. Just like with our challengers, being unhealthy, being overweight, very hard. But so is losing weight. For some people, working out every day, it's painful, hard. Choose your hard. You have to choose your hard. You know, and just making a decision for what your success is, what you define success is, and pursuing it no matter what, guys. Knowing you will pay a price. There's going to be a price to pay. It's not just going to be handed to you. It's not going to be easy. But dang, it's going to be worth the reward. I promise you that, okay? That's the one thing I can tell you, because I felt like I had totally hit the bottom. And that totally fired me up for 2015. So my second year of coaching, I put my blinders on because I had to stop comparing myself from the rock stars. The rock stars, some of them are in this group. I was comparing myself to them, and I was like, oh my God, I suck. I'm never going to go anywhere in this business, because I started at the same time as them. But I couldn't. I had to put the blinders on, put my hat down. That year, we ended up going, February, we had 2-star. Our team went to 4-star, and by July, we were 6-star, and then I had my 7th diamond, I think, pop in August. And I don't tell you this to, like, boast. I'm telling you this because I took that vision. I just took it and rechanneled it. What else? I didn't go to New Leader Conference that year, but guess where I did go? I went to leadership. All expense paid. I think that's pretty much, like, if you could have picked, where would you want to go? I was pretty stoked about that. You know, that year we became an elite team, number 142. I surpassed my nursing income that year. Did not earn 6 figures, but my point is, you know, that's what I did that year. It was just such a cool year. But I'm not going to lie. There was shit that happened. There was things that happened in that time. But still, you know, I didn't let it. I kept my focus. I kept my vision. Now, year 3, this is last year, came around. I had some, let's see, wishy-washy diamonds. I had my people that had gone diamond, and I was literally trying to pull them along with me. Chelsea Pearson said in one of our surges, the people that get you where you're going aren't necessarily going to be the people that get you where you want to go. One of the best pieces of advice I've gotten in this business. Because I'll tell you, some of my diamonds went into the witness protection program. And I'm like, what? And my dad had a stroke and a seizure the first week of January, which he's a completely healthy guy. Like one of the healthiest people I know. Then February rolls around. And this coach kept telling me, like, I'm going to quit. She's a diamond. I'm going to quit. No, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to quit. Not going to quit. And that's the thing, is that she was like playing games with me. Playing games with my heart. But it was so funny because, well, not funny, but then then February came. My dad had another stroke and seizure. Of course, the nursing in me was like, well, that doesn't really make sense that they're saying he's stroking with the seizure, but whatever. They just, whatever. That's whatever it is. But I kept pulling these coaches along. And I was like, oh, I'll put a retreat out for them, and maybe that'll make them want to do this. So I was breathing belief into people. But I'll tell you something, guys. Even when you believe in people, sometimes when you breathe belief into them, if they don't believe in themselves and they aren't doing personal development, it doesn't matter what you do. Coaches have to do personal development. Okay? And then it was crazy because my dad was diagnosed with a glioblastoma multiforme, which is, if you guys don't know what that is, it's stage 4 brain cancer, and it's incurable and it's untreatable. And I was completely, obviously, devastated because I'm a daddy's girl, and he is like my hero, smartest man I know, and he always will be. And at that same time, and I had posted about this, I shared this on Facebook on a live video, and just because I was asking for prayers, and that same coach that had been like messing with me about like, oh, like, and I'm like telling her how awesome she is and how she's doing everything right, calls me up and she tells me she's super stressed and she just doesn't think she can do this anymore because she's going to be a discount coach because she doesn't want to lose her customers to me. And she's super stressed because she's moving. And I'm like, oh, okay. And, you know, the reality is, guys, is that, you know, we all have different seasons and difficult seasons in our life, okay? Illness, loss of loved ones, maybe you've been homeless, maybe you have people in your family with addiction, maybe high-risk pregnancy. I've been an amazing, resilient coach on my team that had a crazy high-risk pregnancy this year. She did not stop. She kept going. She used it as, she kept going. It was crazy. There she is. And maybe you have to relocate across the U.S. Maybe you have to relocate international. Like, debt, it couldn't be whatever. You guys, we all have our own hards. We all have difficulties and trials. And, you know, and I even had to take a step back because I was like, you know what, maybe that moving is difficult for her, even though it was in the same city. But it wasn't what I was dealing with. But, you know, the bottom line is how we handle the experiences we're going through is what's going to make us, it makes us who we are. It makes us better. It makes us bigger, stronger, and that's what makes us even better coaches. That's what's going to take us to that next level. We're going to be able to level up, okay? And at that time, I was just so devastated. My dad was diagnosed. My business, I don't know if I just really lost focus. I was depressed. I felt like I was drowning. I felt, you know, my sister-in-law came to live with us for 2 months with her 2 kids. And, that was special. Seriously, I thought I was going to lose my marbles. And it was crazy. And then I'm going to tell you something, and I'm only telling you this, June 2016 came, and I didn't hit Success Club for the first time. I didn't even put 1 point on the board. Was it because I wasn't working? No. It's because I wasn't focused on the right things. And, you know, and that's it. And that was when I was like, hell no. That's, fortunately, the reality is I have no control over my dad's diagnosis. But what I do have control over is the choices I make, the decisions I make, what I do, right? So, you know, I just decided this is, you know, I'm not going to try to control the uncontrollable. I'm not going to be a victim to my circumstances. Because you know what? When I got pregnant and I was in that crappy situation with my ex, I could have been the victim. And I was like, heck no, I'm not going to be that victim that sulks and says my ex left me and he like totally didn't pay and didn't come see her and we're just so lonely. I was like, I'm not a victim. I'm going to be the victor. And that's the same way I was with this. And I totally made a choice. And you have to take those trials and those difficulties and that pain, and you have to turn it into that fire that fuels you towards your success, you guys. And, you know, there's only one person who gets to choose whether or not you're going to settle or whether you're going to do more. And that's you. No one else. You can blame your upline. You can try to blame Beachbody. You can blame whoever. You can try to blame your husband. You can you can try to blame anybody you want. But I can tell you one thing. There's only one person in this business who can make it, that ultimately makes or breaks whether you're successful as a coach. And that is you. And that, I was like, this is it. I gotta make a change. I have to push forward. And I called my corporate mentor and I'm like, hey, so I know where I'm ranked right now. I think my team really, I got to do this for my dad and I've got to do this for my team because they are a kick-ass team and they deserve to be a 2-time elite team. And he was like, Megan, do you realize what you're going to have to do in the next 6 months? And I was like, yeah, I reverse engineered that. But we did it. We did it. We ended up pushing forward and became a 2-time elite team. And actually, we even were ranked number 147. If I told you where we were ranked in June, you wouldn't even believe the comeback we made. We had, and we had a bunch of brand new diamond coaches. It was just really incredible. And I don't share that, again, to boast, but to let you know that when you take that control, when you take that focus, and you by learning that we cannot, there's things that we cannot change, and disciplining our will and focus to change what we can conquer and crush so many obstacles. It's crazy, guys. You have to remember what you're focused on and not worry about, you can't worry, okay? And I'm going to tie this up with telling you the thing that is like so most important. And that's what I'm going to tell you, what has gotten me through these things, these humps, because it hasn't been easy for me. And I'm not saying it's not easy for any coach, for sure. But it's like, I always felt like, I'm like, it's either my business is going good, or it's like my family life, is okay. It's like one or the other. It's like, boom, boom, boom. But I can tell you, a huge pitfall you can have in this business is impatience. Because I was starting to get impatient, because I was like, everybody's income's going up, volume, these people's volumes are doubling, mine's like creeping up like it was like creeping up the stairs. People's were sprinting like double, like my success partner was like double mine. I'm like, well, what the heck? I have like people, like, what's going on? I just couldn't get it. And if you guys saw Gary Vee at Summit, he talks about this stuff, and then, impatience, how important it is. People want that instant gratification. I'll tell you guys, impatience is going to bring you self-punishment. It's going to create stress. It's going to give you dissatisfaction with this, and it's going to make you dislike this business. It's going to make you have fear. Fear of not only doing the things to step out of your comfort zone, but fear that this business is not going to give you what you're reaching for. And if you don't believe in this business, then what are you doing it for? You must trust that whatever you are doing is unfolding perfectly and in the right time for you. Like, God has a plan, and it's unfolding in the time for you. It's not going to be on your time. It's not going to be the same time as, Sue or Joe. It is unfolding in the right time for you. You have to just have faith with that, and you can't compare. When we tell you guys trust the process, that's what trust the process means. It means you must trust that whatever you are doing, keyword doing, taking action, because if you aren't doing the stuff, guys, there is no unfolding perfectly. It's not going to happen if you're not doing your stuff. And I know there's other people that will come, well, I'm not meeting my goals. I'm not ranking fiance. I'm not my income. I'm just not where I should be. Or like whatever you may define success as. We all have our own definition for success. And if you don't know what your definition for success is, you should figure it out. And, if that's the case, like you're like, okay, I'm not making my goals, and it makes you want to quit. What I suggest is make the decision to work hard at crucial tasks every single day. Like, forget like your quarterly income goal and stuff like that. Like, yes, I know SMART goals. I'm all about goal setting, but I'm going to tell you, just make the decision to work hard and do your crucial tasks every day, because that will ultimately be more powerful than setting any goal. A good example of this would be like Mark Zuckerberg. Do you guys think that he set out to have the world's biggest social media company? That was not his goal. He would have given up in frustration if that was his goal, right? Instead, he followed a system that was where he just continuously was educating himself about technology and coding. He showed up every day. He worked hard. He didn't take time off or step back from his business. And he took risks and stepped out of the comfort zone by taking his ideas and trying them, and didn't give a shit what anybody else thought. And those things, those everyday things, are what made Facebook what it is today, right? So, last but not least, I'm going to tell you one of my things with Grant Cardone. It's a good quote that I love from him, and it's that the difference between success and failure is staying in the game when others throw in the towel. Because I'll tell you one thing, guys, quitting is the only surefire way that you'll fail in this business. So that is what I have for you guys tonight. I hope that you guys got some takeaways and things like that. Feel free, if you have any questions about anything, to post below. And tomorrow, Brittany will be bringing it to you, so be sure to tune in for that. But I hope you guys have a great Sunday and are ready to kick ass this week.